All right, so let's wrap up this little section with a coding challenge here. I want you to create a class for bank customers called bank, okay? We're gonna set up a constructor method inside with the parameters customer and balance. So the idea is that the customer is just the customer name and the balance is the initial balance you have or your starting balance. We're gonna add in some methods for depositing money, withdrawing money, and getting an account statement. Then if the customer has a negative balance, when you have this account statement that you're getting, there should be a message that tells the customer the amount they need to deposit in order to get the account back to a zero balance, okay? Then I have some test data here for you. I'm gonna post all of this in the description for you so you don't have to worry about trying to copy it. So basically just pause the video, give this an honest try on your own, and I'll see you here for the solution. Okay, so hopefully you tried this. I know we only saw this syntax where we used the class keyword once, but basically it's generally speaking the same pretty much as working with a constructor function, okay? So instead of having the function keyword, you start with class, okay? And then you're gonna type bank here with a capital B, and then you have some basically curly braces here, okay? So what's inside of here is a constructor method now. So I'm gonna go constructor, okay? And then basically I'm gonna have my parameters here, so the customer and then the balance. And it's the same as before. We're basically going to use the this keyword so we can make some properties inside of this new object when it gets created. So we'll say something like this dot customer is equal to the customer, the guy that gets passed in. And let's do this dot balance is equal to the balance that gets passed in. So that sets up those two guys. We don't really need anything else. We need to make some methods. If we come back up here, it says add in methods for depositing money, withdrawing money, and then getting an account statement. Okay. Now you don't want to do this inside of the constructor because what's going to happen is every time you make a new instance, okay, it's going to get copied. So we talked about that before. We want to basically put this outside. And you saw that we could do this using the prototype property. But when you work with this class guy here, it does this for you behind the scenes. Okay. So all you need to do is come outside of the constructor. So outside of these brackets here. And I'm just going to type the name of my method. Okay. You don't need the function keyword or anything like that. So I'm just going to type, let's say, deposit money like this. I'm going to put some parentheses here. In this particular case, I will need something that goes in. So I'm going to go amount. That's going to be my parameter there. So I'm going to pass that in. Okay, and I'm going to use that. I'm going to say this dot balance plus equals this amount that was deposited. Okay, so basically, let's say I had $500. That was my starting balance. If I deposit money with 300, I would expect I would get 500 plus 300 to give me a new balance of 800. Okay, let's also do one for withdraw money. So withdraw money. Okay, again, I'm going to have an amount here. And it's the same thing as above. I'm just going to use subtraction. So I'm going to do this dot balance. I'm going to do minus equals now and then the amount. Okay, so that's just going to basically take it off of what I had. So if I started with 400 and let's say I withdrew 300, well, now I do 400 minus 300. That gives me a balance of 100. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is an account summary. So let's do account summary. And I don't need anything in there. So basically, I'm just going to first check to see if the account balance is negative. So we said something like, if the account balance is negative, you should get a little message saying what you need to deposit. So let's say if, we'll say this dot balance is less than 0, that means it's negative. Then basically what I want to do is return a little string here. I'll say this dot customer name, or actually I would end up typing this twice. So let me do this outside of here. Let me come up here and let me go const, I'll say my string is equal to, so first let me just put some generic information that both of them are going to get. So I'll say this dot customer name. We'll say your account balance is, we'll put $2 signs and we'll put this dot balance. Okay. So that's for everybody. And basically these people who have a negative balance will get an additional part to this. So I'm just going to say my string plus equals, okay. And I'm going to put these backticks here. So let's go ahead and put this up here. And I missed my semicolon up here. So let me put that in there. And then let me come down here and we'll basically say something like, let's say a new line, and we'll say this dot customer, and we'll do something like please deposit. So how do you get the amount that you need to deposit? Well, think about the fact that let's say you had something like negative $700 in there. JavaScript's going to hold that value as negative 700. So I just want the opposite of that. I just want to say, hey, you need to deposit 700. So one way you can do this is just multiply by -1. So I can just do -1 times this dot balance. Okay, so if you had like a -$700, you would have -1 times -700, which would give you 700. So it would basically say your customer name, whatever it is, please deposit $700. And I probably want another $sign there to make that more efficient. Okay, so at this point, we're ready to return this my string guy here. And again, if the person's balance is positive or if it's 0, then you'll just get their customer name, your account balance is, whatever it is. If the account balance is negative, then it's going to add this part onto the string and you'll get all of it. Okay, so let's use our test data now. So let's start with this first guy right here. So we have Larry Jacobs and $500. So let's go something like const. Let's just call this customer 1. And we'll set this equal to, we're going to go new and then bank. And then I'm going to be passing in the Larry. And then what was his last name? I forgot. Let me come back up here. So let me just copy this so I don't forget. So I'm going to grab this and come down here. So it's next to me. So we have Larry Jacobs. And then the initial amount is 500. And then we can console.log this to start, just to look at it. So custom 1. So let's go ahead and pop this open. And you see you just get a customer of Larry Jacobs and a balance of 500. Okay, so that works for now. Let's go ahead and call, let me come down here, and I'm going to go cust1 dot. Our first thing was deposit money, and we want to deposit $1,200. So right now, we should have $1,700. So let's go ahead and go console.log. I'm going to go cust1, and I'm just going to go dot our balance. Okay, so we can look at that. It should say 1,700. Let's go ahead and clear this and run this. We have 1,700, so that works as expected. And then let's go ahead and come down here, and let's also do the withdrawal of 600. So cust1 dot withdraw money, and this is going to be 600. Okay, so basically we know 500 plus 1,200 is 1,700. If I take 600 off of that, that's 1,100. So let's pop this open, clear this, and run this. We get 1,100. Okay, so that's working as expected. So instead of saying dot balance, let's go ahead and call this, and I forgot what it was. So let's come up here, the account summary. So the account summary method, you need parentheses. So this should basically say that Larry Jacobs, if I come back up here and read this, your account balance is $1,100. Okay, so let's pop this open, clear this out, and run this. We get undefined, your account balance is $1,100. Okay, so let's see what we did wrong. So if we come up here, we're saying this dot customer name, and it's not customer name. If we come up here, it's this dot customer. Okay, so let's erase that. That's a mistake. So if we come back down here, this should work fine now. So let's pop this open, clear this, and run this. We get Larry Jacobs, your account balance is $1,100. Okay, so everything's working fine now. Let's get rid of this guy, okay? And let's get the other test data. So let's come up here and let's get this Beth Smith. So let's grab her and let's come down here, paste this in. So we can get rid of this part. I'm just gonna get rid of this and update it. So I'm just gonna say this is Beth Smith now. I'm going to change this to $1,900 for $1,900. And I'm going to change this for she deposits $2,400 and she withdraws $1,200. Okay. So you can check these individually. We already know they work, but basically you have $1,900 plus $2,400, which is going to give you $4,300 at this point. So when we deposit the money, the account balance will be $4,300. And then when we withdraw the money, you have $4,300 minus $1,200, which is going to be $3,100 or $3,100, however you want to say that. So basically, we're going to get Beth Smith. If I come back up here, it's going to say Beth Smith, your account balance is $3,100. Okay, so let's pop this open, clear this, and run this. We just get Beth Smith, your account balance is $3,100. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. Let's come up here and grab the last one here, and let's come down here and let's put this in here, and let's go ahead and paste this in. And so now I want to have this Brad Owens guy. Okay, so he's starting with $350 and then he deposits money, so he deposits $50. Okay, so we know at this point that he would have what, $400, and then he withdraws $550, so $550. So we know at this point that basically this is going to be a negative $150, right? So basically we should see if this is all programmed correctly, because the balance is less than 0 now, we should get this additional string where it says this guy's name, which I think was Brad Owens, please deposit. Again, you would have -1 times this $150. So we'll say basically, Brad Owens, please deposit $150. So that additional part will be on there. So let's pop this open, clear this, and run this. And of course, we have an error somewhere. So let's come up here. And I used const up there, so I shouldn't have done that. So let's come up here and let's use let. Forgot about that. So let's pop this open, clear this, and run this. And so we get Brad Owens, your account balance is -$150. And then Brad Owens, please deposit $150.